Salute. What's up, YouTube? How's it going? Um, Here to push out a video about servitors and thought forms. Um, so this is take two of the video. So already poured our libations uh, to all spirits of guidance, wisdom, um, to especially to the spirits that bestow servitors on us. That when we need them through connection and contact. Uh, to the Goetic pantheon in particular, and basically all demonetary spirits that we go to and that we work with. Well, me in particular. So we raise our cups and we give thanks. So I've written down some notes here and just putting the top here on the wine so it don't spill over. Right. Okay. So I've written down some notes here that basically on my phone, as this information was coming to me, I decided to note it, and that's kind of what happens. It's like you tap in, this information flows through. It's best to note it while it's hot in your mind. So bear with me if I'm looking down, kind of going through my notes and stuff like that to kind of relate this information to you guys. Okay, so the first things first is that um, we create servitors all the time, just through your thoughts alone. Um, and mostly these servitors come in the form of negative and positive energies that surround us on a daily basis that we really and truthfully don't pay attention to consciously. A lot of times, those energies come up as daily energies such as I need more money, I need a better job, I want to find a certain love in my life. I'm financially stable. Um, I have what I need in my life. Um, I'm happy. I'm completely content. These things are forms of servitors and thought forms that we have created. Um, and basically these energies have manifested through constant feeding of just recognition and energy that we put into them through emotion. Um, and so basically, every thought that you think is a potential entity in the making, all without you being consciously aware of it. They begin to take shape in a moment's instant. Uh, a lot of times they come as flash of insight or a flash of destructive thought, um, feeding you the seed of their birth. So with thought forms, not so much servitors, beginning with the thought form. Those previous things that I've talked about, the wanting a better car, the wanting a better love, the being content in your life, the having the happiness and stuff like that. That ties in to just the inkling of just momentary thoughts that pop into your mind that you pay attention to, that you give focus to. Um, and so at that point in time, it's just something that's just there. It's not something that serves you, so to speak, as a servitor, but it's something that you become aware of. And so at that point in time, with you being the creator, you can choose to go either with that or to not go with that. Now, with the reality that we live in a very, um, we'll say, adverse reality. Um, in a lot of ways, that uh, whatever it's easier to attach to energies spiritually and mentally that's against what you truly intend to have in your life and what you truly intend to use or utilize as far as energy wise to help improve yourself. And so when we have these thought forms, the more negative thought forms, they tend to become more existent and become more deific and more servitor based in our lives, because that's the energy that's most prevalent in your current surrounding. So if you, it's easier to say, oh, I don't have something, and to focus on what you don't have, than to say that I do have something. And by you focusing on the don't have so much, you give emotion to that, and there goes your servitor, your thought form turning into a servitor. And so your servitor at that point in time will make sure that every time you come into a situation that you don't have something, for on its own survival, it will create those moments and those situations to where you don't have something. It's the same thing as when you do have something and where you're content and you are happy in your life. That thought form soon turns into things that manifest the things that you do have, the things that you are happy about. And so basically, we're constantly changing these thought forms into servitors that serve us subconsciously when we don't even realize it. I mean, it's the same thing as any deific force that you look at. Um, we'll for example, we'll say, um, we'll look at the deific form of Astrath or Astaroth. Um, she's tied into several different pantheons, but in the beginning, she started out as Azrea or Ashra, a piece of wood. Some say wood, some say stone, in a grove somewhere. You know what I'm saying? But there had to be a particular type of energy that was associated with that. You know what I'm saying? And so the energy that was associated with that was more natural. So people felt a particular energy. They thought of a certain energy that would attach to that definition. And so being surrounded in a wooded area or a forestry area, in nature, getting that natural feeling, you have those associations, those thought forms, that are associated with the natural environment. And so to ground that energy, which we'll talk about, grounding the energy to make it a physical thing, to create that servitor in the physical realm, which magicians do it all the time through sigils, mainly through sigils, which is also the imagery that ties into your subconscious, where you're able to use that preconceived energy to manifest. But it's the same thing, we'll continue to use Ashrea for this point. You're taking that thought energy to say, okay, well, she's associated with fertility, whatever fertility is for you. Um, that energy rises up. She's associated with the moon, um, you know, or the sun, depending. You know what I'm saying? So you take these different attributes and you focus in on them and you start to feel things about them. And the more that you feel those things, those emotions, they become more solidified. And so now you have a certain energy that's congealed into a form that becomes a very real entity and an energetic body that's surrounding you and surrounding your area. And so in the case of Ashrea, you know, eventually they've taken that energy and said, okay, we're going to ground it here in the shape of this wood, and we're going to call it an ash rock pole. And so basically, you're grounding that very thought form, that very energy into a physical form. And so, one if not most components that bring these entities into fruition is emotion. As I said, once you begin to feed these energies with positive or negative emotion, they automatically begin to manifest in your life, um, and are brought to life through this. This is a key factor. I mean, our universe is made up of emotions. You know what I'm saying? It's a gigantic cloud of emotion. You know what I'm saying? That's how we dictate our reality, is how we feel, not so much upon based upon the physical. Because yeah, we think things are physical, but they're not there. At the end of the day, you break it down, it's all energy. So that energy has to give you some type of sensation. And that sensation is best equated through the human system through emotion. So that there is a big key to powering up these entities. You know what I'm saying? To turn these servitors or these thought forms into servitors. But once they are born into existence, they attach to you as the creator. They begin to depend on you for survival. And here's an experiment. Think about your relationship with money and what your thoughts are and how you feel about it. Think about that for a second. How do you feel about money? What are your associations with it? If you feel negative about it, that's a negative thought form. That's a negative servitor, because now every time that you come around money, you feel a certain way. And so by you, say for instance, you hate people who make money. You can't stand them. Every time you come around somebody who has that type of money, that energy and that entity will begin to create situations to where you feel that way about that person, or the fact that they're making money. Say for instance, you're comfortable with money. That's another servitor that, or thought form that you've created, that's associated with the fact that you do enjoy having money, and you do associate being successful with having money in your life. So well, just from that, you're able to kind of tell um, your relationship with these entities and these energies that you've created in your life. um, and it shows you how real these things become, because now that you recognize that you feel a certain way, we'll say with money, you've automatically recognized that, oh man, I feel this way about money. And here's another thing: switch it. Say for instance, you hated the fact that people make money, or you don't like people that make a lot of money, or you hate the rich, or whatever. Switch that to you love people that make money. You love having money around you. You love being rich, or whatever. What that does is you're challenging that thought form. You're challenging that servitor at that point in time, because now the servitor's survival mechanism is being challenged. So at that point in time, now you're changing its vibration, and you're basically just dissipating it, and you're banishing it, and now you're invoking a opposite energy, a adversarial energy to it. Remember, we live in a very um, adversarial reality. So in order to have more success, you got to learn how to become very adversarial in your actions, to go against the grain, to go against things that you're used to doing, and change it up, become very chaotic. That's what this universe is. That's one of the key factors of this universe. So once you learn how to become as the universe, then you will truly understand it. In the case of the thought forms, switch the polarity on it. Say, oh, you know what? And start to feel that way. If you, like I said, if you hate people with making money, start to really feel like you enjoy being around people who makes money. And you'll see that slowly but surely, those energies, that those situations will start to slowly change, because now that servitor, that energy that's surrounding you, will no longer have a use. It's gonna fight. to remain around you. It's going to fight for survival because that's what happens. The conscious mind has created this off of the subconscious mind um, um, energies. You know what I'm saying? Because the fact that the subconscious mind has presented the conscious mind with certain energies, the conscious mind has to produce those things to stay in connection. Uh, yeah, as I talked about, it's impossible to not create thought forms and servitors. We live in a reality where thought had to take place, has to take place in order to manifest. The conscious mind has to receive the energies from the subconscious mind that's necessary to create what you desire. So you're constantly creating these thought forms, you're constantly creating these servitors, and you don't even know about it. From the way you feel about certain situations, the way you feel about certain people. One example I got here was uh, say like you're driving down a certain road, you drive down a certain road every day, and at a certain point, you know that there's going to be a traffic jam. You've done this so much that it's become ingrained in you, and so you've created a servitor to say, okay, well now every time I go to this spot, there will be a traffic jam, and so the servitor's job, that servitor's sole reason for existence is to make sure that every time you go down that road, no matter where it is, you will reach a certain point and you will have a traffic jam. That's the sole reason. That's his sole reason for surviving. And so you feed that servitor through your emotions, through becoming angry, annoyed, um, upset, frustrated, and so that's what that servitor survives off of those emotions. Um, it's the same thing of if you come around grandma or somebody, there could be a servitor of love. There could be an energy of love there. That in and of itself becomes a servitor. Now, when I say servitor, most people might think of actual physical beings. Yeah, yeah, that gets off into actually taking that energy and putting it into a physical, or a not so much of a physical, but into an image of a entity. You could do that. That's something that's very simple. I mean, you do it when you're imagining all the time. But I'm just talking about the energy in general. I'm talking about that energy that surrounds you in certain situations, and certain people, that becomes alive and and surrounds you and attaches to you to create certain situations. Um, so I want you to remember this: that thought forms are regular thoughts that begin to take place as entities in your life, and servitors are how these energies affect your life. So that's the difference between your servitors and your thought forms. Your thought forms are just initial general energies that affect your mind and affect your thoughts and stuff like that. So you start to think certain thoughts. Servitors, they turn into servitors through constant feeding, and then they become something that's now tangible in your life to where it manifests certain situations. And so those certain situations are a result of those energies, those thought forms that's become a servitor. Uh, and so you can change that. And that's what I'm saying. You can change that through changing the vibration through your thoughts and through your emotions of certain energies that surround your life, especially around certain people and certain situations. Might as well make use of it. I mean, since we're constantly creating these things, might as well just switch them and to create something that you can benefit from. You can benefit from. And so by you doing that, allows you to enhance your life and to give you the energy to create the life that you need, you know what I'm saying, that you want and that you desire. Uh, So, the first things first to change these entities into something that's more usable and more desirable is, first of all, take note of all the negative uh, energies that surround you around certain situations. Take note of how you feel, take note of what you think. And then, once you've taken note, don't give into it. If you know that you get upset at, a red light, or you get upset at the fact that you see a certain people or a certain situation, when you come across that, you know beforehand, because there are certain signs, there are certain signals that will go off that you will recognize. Once you step back and you observed it, you'll recognize and say, "Oh, I'm starting to feel this way. I'm starting to feel angry. I'm starting to feel upset, or I'm starting to feel happy. I'm starting to feel great." Take note with both situations, the positive and the negative situations, but mostly for the negative situations, to change them. Take note of these situations and these energies, and just observe them. And at that point, start to switch their vibration to something that becomes more in accordance to what you desire and what you want to manifest in your life. And so once you do that, you start to change, like I said, switch and change the vibration and say, okay, well, instead of feeling angry, let me genuinely feel happy, or loving of the situation or this person. And you know that energy will slowly dissipate. Now, to ground this energy into the physical reality, because at that point in time it's still an energy that surrounds you within an energetic body, surrounding you and others in the energetic plane. To ground it is what many systems have done over the years. Religious systems, magical systems have done over the years with entities and deities. They've taken it and they've grounded it into a form, into a physical form, something that's tangible on the earth. So basically, what you can do is you can associate that energy with what you feel attracted to. Say, for instance, if you feel a certain way, we'll take the love energy. And, the love energy in and of itself is an entity, is a deific form that's come in many, many different forms, as, Venus, Aphrodite, um, you know, uh, Astarte, uh, Astraeus, and many other. I mean, there's tons of love deities, Salos, tons of deities. You get the idea. Those are the forms that you see, are just the forms. But once you go underneath the form, you'll see that there's just an associated energy that flows through them all, a current that flows through them all. You can do the same thing. That deific energy of love can now be grounded into a physical form for you. So, you can associate that with something on a physical level that will draw you in, that will attract that emotion, and that entity will ground itself and it will live in that vessel. So, I just kind of wanted to put this out, um, and talk about it. You know, if you know if you guys have any questions and stuff on it, hit me up. If I wasn't too clear, hit me up. Let me know. This is, kind of like an impromptu to get me back into the mode of making videos and stuff. I do appreciate, just a quick thing. I do appreciate everybody who's been hitting me up and been asking about me and asking about the videos and stuff like that. As you can see, I'm still doing them, still around. Glad to be here, and so hopefully you guys can make use of this video. And if you have any questions, just hit me up, and I'll do my best to kind of clear them up for you. But until then, Take care, folks. Peace.